It's not about rapport. It's all about the truth. This is Peter Beckenham, the village marketer, and this ocean view is taken from our condo in Pattaya in Thailand. Let me ask you, are you running discovery calls? Let me stop you right there. If you're using the term discovery call or strategy calls, I can tell you right now that your potential clients, your prospects, are thinking it's another name for a sales pitch. So why don't you change the name? And when you're calling people on discovery calls or strategy calls or whatever you want to call it, right? Does it sound something like this? Your focus is to build rapport as quickly as possible, right? Get them to know you and you get to know them. Makes sense, right? You want to show your value and how you can solve the problem for them. You want to see if they're a fit for you, and you want to show your credibility and your company's credibility and your experience and expertise, and then book another call for them. Does this sound like something you do? Well, let me ask you something. Do you realize that even subtly, you are forcing them to go along with it because it's a socially acceptable thing to do? And that's what they do. They go along with it. But guess what? The chances of them being a no-show are very, very high. They'll ghost you. You've had that experience, right? And it's a real bummer. And you wonder why? They showed all the interest in the world, but they never even showed up. What can I do differently? We showed everything we can. Think this. Step one, separate personal norms from business norms. Don't mix them together because they can get messy very, very quickly. And when they do, they won't comply with your process because they'll be thinking, right, when you're trying to build this rapport and then talk about business, they'll be thinking you've got a hidden agenda. And let's be honest, you do, right? You've got a hidden agenda. You want to make a sale. I strongly suggest you make a separate call for personal norms and getting to know them personally, and a separate call for a business. I mean, when you go to the doctor for the first time, they probably ask you, okay, Peter, where does it hurt? Right? Have you ever had a doctor say to you, look, let's get to know each other, and then we'll decide if we're fit for each other? No doctor does that. So why should you? I mean, you are the doctor and they are the patient. They have come to you with a problem, and it's your responsibility to get them to accept and take ownership of their problem. And sure, they may not like it, and it may be very uncomfortable at times for them because getting to the truth can hurt. So don't expect happy, pleasant, kumbaya type conversations, right? Just keep in mind that your job is a truth teller, not a salesperson, a truth teller. Your role is to empower your prospect to get to the truth, not to get to the sale. And when they get to the truth, for them to own the problem that they have. If they don't own the problem, then they will not try to fix it. If you try to convince them they've got a problem, it's not their problem, it's yours. So when you can get the prospect to the point of owning and accepting that they have a problem, then, for want of a better word, the sale is over because they'll be asking you for help if the problem is something they want to solve once and for all. No one else is taking them down the iceberg of their problems like you're doing, right? Nobody's doing that. And the bonding you are creating is intangibly strong. And that's when the trust happens, because the prospects can't articulate their problem on their own. And quite often they don't even know that they have a problem. Or if they think they've got a problem, maybe it's not the real problem after all. That's where you come in. Your work, your job, your aim, your total focus is to get them clarity on their problem and then take ownership of their problem. Nothing more. I mean, gaining trust and clarity with a prospect is a powerful service that positions you as a trusted authority. And in the prospect's mind, somebody who more than likely knows the answer to their problem. Why is it so powerful? Because you're not trying to sell them anything. You have got them to the real truth of the problem that they are facing. And you come across as honest and truthful with absolutely no hidden agenda. That's powerful. Think about that. And if you do it right, you're asking for feedback at every step of the way. Simple things like, is this problem situation, whatever it is, frustrating for you? And we'll wait for an answer. Let them respond. Their response gets them involved in the conversation and helps them start taking ownership of the problem. Think of the subtle change. If instead you said, this must be frustrating for you, right? You are putting words in their mouth, and that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to take ownership of it. It's your words, not theirs, right? Subtle, but very important. You see, these subtle language changes empowers prospects to definitely take ownership of what their problem is, both factually and emotionally. And when you empower them to accept and own both factually and emotionally, piece by piece, the situation they're in, then the impact on them in terms of the truth and acceptance is real. It's not your words, it's their thinking, and they're sharing it back to you. They own it. And if they own it, they can decide whether they want to fix it. If they don't own it, they will never decide whether they want to fix it. Instead of using the old-fashioned rubbing salt into the wound approach, right, by telling them how frustrating it must be or how painful their problem must be, your conversation is a two-way dialogue where you're not trying to convince them of anything. You are simply empowering them to get to their truth, not words or suggestion you put into their head. Very, very important distinction that many people completely mess up. In other words, your goal is to shepherd them down the path so they can unfold for themselves what their problem is, what their situation is, and then start to realize the impacts it will have on them if they don't fix it. In other words, get them to the truth, to accept ownership, as I said before, that they do have a problem, and start then thinking, is this a priority for them? Is this something they want to fix once and for all? If you do this, if you follow what I'm trying to share with you here, is it easy? No, it's simple, but it's not easy. But if you can do this, you'll have your prospects thinking something like this. Wow, he really gets me. She understands me. I'm going to ask them, can they help me? That's what's in their head, because you haven't pushed anything down their throat. You've surprised them with a memorable experience of awareness. It may have been painful, uncomfortable, but it's the truth. And that is the key, because this removes all the indecisiveness. Things like, I want to think about it. Let me talk to my partner about that. Send me some information. Give me a proposal. I'll get back to you next week. That's all gone, right? That's all gone, because they have come to a decision and a conclusion that they've got a problem, they bloody own it, and they want to fix it, right? So when they say, I want to think about it, that's putting themselves off. You're not doing anything. Hear the difference? It's powerful. And very, very few people do this. And when you remove all that indecisiveness, guess what? it's game over. Now, I also realise that I'm probably stretching many of you way beyond where you've ever been before. And you might think, this is not right. I can't do that. This is not real. This is not the real world. Let me share with you, this is exactly the real world. This is exactly how people want to be treated. Stop thinking about you. Stop thinking about your company. Stop thinking about your needs, your sales quotas. Think about them. So if you're unsure about anything I've shared with you today, then see the link on the screen, peterbeckenham.com/hello. Book a call with me and spend 15 minutes, and I'll share with you some insights to get you thinking in the right direction. Until next time, best wishes from Thailand.